Hello everyone and welcome to my Nightmare Zone Melee Guide. Nightmare Zone is a minigame found north of Yanil that provides some of the best XP in the game, all while being extremely AFK. The easiest way to access Nightmare Zone would be by going to the Quest tab, clicking on the Minigames button, clicking on the drop down list, selecting Nightmare Zone, and clicking on Teleport. This will do a sort of home teleport, and I guess I'll be back once I teleport. It should teleport you to a spot about here, and Nightmare Zone is right over here. Alrighty guys, so first of all, some of the requirements for Nightmare Zone are as follows. The quest requirements are Vampire Slayer, Lost City, Fight Arena, and the Grand Tree. Now, the reason why you have to do these quests is because they unlock certain boss monsters, and we'll go over this in a little bit, but these are usually the quests that are required by hosts in order for them to work properly, and again, I'll explain this a bit later, but most times you're going to need just those quests completed. But if you're using this guide, you more than likely have those quests completed already, as they are mainly quests that you do when you first start out RuneScape 07. This is more of a recommendation as opposed to a requirement. I recommend at least 70 plus attack, strength, and I guess defense doesn't necessarily matter, but at least 70 plus attack and strength. The reason why I recommend this is because technically you do not need these stats. There's no combat requirements for Nightmare Zone, but if you have stats that are lesser than this, you really are not going to get very good XP per hour, and it more or less is probably not going to be worth your time. Alrighty guys, now that you know what you should have before you start Nightmare Zone, let's go over the gear setups. So this is the first gear setup that I have and I personally use most often. This is the much more AFK-able method than the other method. This one, because of your immense prayer bonus, you can basically not look at your screen for minutes at a time. I am not promoting you to AFK, but I'm just saying, you can. So this setup consists of a Helm of Nidazad. Helm of Nidazad is probably your best helm. You could also wear a God Miter. I believe they're called miters. Whatever the helm is that gives you big prayer bonus, you can also wear this, but I prefer the Helm of Nidazad because it gives prayer bonus and strength bonus. Fury / Glory, whatever you can afford. Proselyte, plate body, and plate legs. This can be substituted with monk body and robe legs. Dragon boots can be substituted with climbers or rune boots. Barrow's gloves. Substitute this with your best recipe for disaster gloves or a combat bracelet. Saradomin sword. This is the best weapon to train strength with. Obviously, if you cannot afford a Saradomin sword and you want to train strength, you could also use a Dragon Scimitar and a Rune Defender. Or if you're training attack and defense, you could use a whip. Fire cape. This is pretty much the best cape you can use, I guess. Just use whatever cape you have. And berserker ring imbued. This is the best ring as well for the strength bonus, but ring is not going to make a very big difference, so you just use what you have. If you are using this high prayer bonus AFK setup, your inventory should look something like this. Your spec weapon, some coins, 8 4-dose overloads, and the rest prayer potions. Alrighty guys, so for setup number 2, this is going to be the high XP but less AFK method. Don't get me wrong, it's still relatively AFK, but it is far less AFK, but the XP is much greater. In this method, you're going to substitute your prayer gear with full DH. Everything else can stay the same except you need full DH, and I guess I will go over why DH is so much better XP and why it is possible later on. Your inventory, if using this setup, should be coins, a spec weapon, a dwarven rock cake. I will put a link to a dwarven rock cake in the description if you do not know how to get one. I choose to bring a holy wrench because a holy wrench, if you don't know what it does, it gives you extra prayer points per dose of prayer potion, and because you're using prayer much quicker on this, the holy wrench is quite useful. 4 doses of overload, because again, you will be using prayer much quicker, you cannot last as long, and the rest prayer potions. Lastly, before we get into the minigame itself, we need to go over spec weapons. So there's some very useful spec weapons to use in Nightmare Zone. The most useful, in my opinion, would be the Saradomin Godsword. Saradomin Godsword gives you prayer back, so you end up using less prayer potions. And you might think, well, it's not that big of a deal, you only have 2 specs, every once in a while. But I will show you a power-up that you can get within the minigame randomly that, basically makes the Saradomin Godsword extremely useful. The next best would be the Granite Maul. Again, this power-up gives you unlimited special attack, so, again, this is why the Saradomin Godsword is so good. It gives you a brief spurt of unlimited special attacks, so you get unlimited prayer restore from the Saradomin sword. And again, with the Granite Maul is going to give you more XP from the specs in the Saradomin sword, but the Saradomin sword is going to save you money. That is your choice. If you really want to get more XP, use the Granite Maul. You can only imagine, if you have a Granite Maul with unlimited spec, just imagine how much damage you can do just spamming the Granite Maul spec. Another good spec weapon is the Dragon Two-Handed Sword, because it does AoE damage. It'll hit everything surrounding you. Unfortunately, I do not have a Dragon 2H, so, if you have a Dragon 2H, feel free to use it. It is better than the Granite Maul. And if you cannot afford any of these, a Dragon Dagger will suffice. Alrighty guys, once you have all of your requirements and you are set up to go, come over to nightmarezone where I showed you where it was earlier. Down here you're going to see Dominic's Coffer. You're going to use it. If this is your first time using it, you're probably going to have to put your bank pin in. And just put some coins in. It doesn't really matter how much. It has to be more than 6k, but just put a decent amount in there. Also, I guess if you have never done nightmarezone before, you will not be able to use overloads. Basically, how you get overloads is you go to this chest right here, you go to benefits, and then you buy however many doses of overload you want. So, for example, this inventory would be 32 doses, so I would buy X 32. I would run over to these barrels, find the one that says overloads, and I would take overload potion and however many doses I want. But obviously, if you've never done nightmarezone, you do not have any points to buy overloads, so you would obviously not bring them on your first trip. Once you are ready to go, you're going to want to go to World 1, and you're going to see a ton of people with spam messages all over the place. This is good, this is what you want. So, basically going back to the quests and why you wanted the quests, you'll see people saying no.
Real loud, motherfucker.
So, once you're ready to go, go to World 1, and you're going to see a lot of people spamming messages. This is what you want. This is going to go back to the whole quest requirement thing. You're going to see people saying Demon, Vampire, Khazard, Tree Spirit, Bouncer. Those are pretty much the people that you want. Now, basically in nightmarezone, you fight waves of bosses from quests, and so once you complete these quests and kill those monsters, you unlock those bosses in nightmarezone. Now, these accounts here that are spamming the messages are called boosters. For people like me that have a ton of quests completed, if I went in nightmarezone, I would get a ton of different bosses that use things other than melee, and that is not what I want. These people around here, they have only done the quests with the melee bosses, and therefore everything else is restricted but the melee bosses, which allows you to pray melee and just AFK because you only have melee bosses. So once you have your inventory set up and you have put coins in Dominic's offer, you are going to find one of these people. See, this guy could do NMZ Trenba. You're going to want to trade them, and as he says in his thing, he says 20k. You're going to want to give him 20k, accept, and he should invite you. Hopefully, okay, see, sometimes you will get scammed, but assuming he does not scam you, click on accept. He is going to click on this thing right here, the empty vial. He will drink it and it will take you into a game. Enter dream. And you are here at nightmarezone. It takes them about 20 seconds to spawn, so you have a bit of time to just relax for a bit. So if you just sit here for a bit, wait for them to appear, and then get ready to drink your overloads. 25 seconds to go. As you can see, it does take a good amount of time for them to spawn, so really there's no hurry. Just kind of center yourself in the arena. They will appear shortly. Alrighty, here they are. So you're going to want to turn on Protect for melee, drink your overload, turn your auto-retaliate on, and that's about it. You may be concerned the fact that you're losing health, but every time your overload runs out, it heals you back to full health. So there's no worry about having to heal or anything. So from this point forward, all you have to do is keep Protect for melee on, keep auto-retaliate on, and you can just sit here in AFK and get amazing XP. Alrighty, once you are in the game, you're going to notice some things that say a power-up has spawned. Run over to it, it's going to be a big glowing thing, and click on it. This is going to be the first example. It is called a zapper. What it does is just shoots shit out and hits the other monsters. Now, the only one you really need to use is Power Surge, and I'll show you what that does once it pops up. but I just figured I should show you guys what all of the power-ups do. If you use things like Zapper and ones I'll show you later, it gives you more points but less XP because obviously it is killing them for you slightly, which gives you less XP per kill. So realistically, you don't really want to be using Zapper. Alrighty, so this is the power that you want. It is called Power Surge. It's going to be yellow. This is the one you want to look for. So when Power Surge happens, turn Piety or the highest melee prayers on that you have, and spec away. Whether you have a Saragon Sword, a Granite Maul, a Dragon 2H, it will constantly restore your special attack until, well, I don't really know how long it lasts. I would say it's roughly 30 seconds, so as you can see I have full prayer, and it just, is going to keep getting topped off. This is a good example of how Saragon Sword saves you a ton of money at Nightmare Zone. And you can only imagine if I had like a Granite Maul, the XP drops I would be getting. So Power Surge, this is the good one. This is the one you want. Alrighty, power up number 3 of 4 is Ultimate Force. This one especially you don't want. You'll see what it does. Activate it, and they're gone. They're all gone. Obviously you don't want that one because not only does it not give you points, obviously it's also stealing the XP from you. So Ultimate Force you do not want to do at all. Let me just grab this recurrent damage. This is the last power up, and it does exactly what it says. Let me actually hit one of these things. Okay, of course I can't hit. So I hit a 25, it will then hit an 18. It basically just does, if you hit something, it'll hit again afterwards. And again, not very useful considering you do not get XP for the second hit. It just helps you get points a little bit faster. Alrighty, so if you choose to do the high XP, less AFK method by using DH, same concept, come back here and find another guy, pay him the 20k, oh boy, I typed in 0k, 20k, he will invite you. Well, you should know how this works. I will be right back once I am in the game. Alrighty, so once you are in the game, this time you do not need to wait around. What you're going to want to do is drink your overload, it's going to start damaging you. And you want to spam click on the Dwarven Rock Cake to have it do damage to you. You want to get your health as low as you possibly can. Turn Prey Melee on just to be safe in case they spawn when you're not ready. So just, again, spam the Dwarven Rock Cake. It'll do 1 damage at a time, so it does take a bit. And don't worry either, it cannot kill you. If you get down to 1 HP, it will no longer damage you, as I will show you in a second here. So I am at 2 HP, and no matter how many times I eat it, it will not damage me. And so once you are at 2 HP, feel free. Just DH away. This is considerably faster XP considering your 2 HP DHing. You can get consistent 250 to 300 XP drops as I am currently getting. And yeah, it's really the same concept as the other one, except this time your prayer bonus is much lower, so you want to be drinking prayer potions a lot more often, which means you can't AFK as much. But again, if you are down for more XP, less AFK, that is up to you. Alrighty guys, that is going to be it for this guide. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. I hope this guide helped you, and I will see you all later.